Good morning, folks. It's Friday. I don't know what kind of week you've had. Oh my God, what kind of week have you had? I hope it was a bit better than the week that I've had. Right, so good morning. You've got to say hi. You've got to tell me where you're watching from. These are your property updates. I wasn't here yesterday. I know it's been a bit random this week, really, but we've had a lot of challenges and lots of things going on in our own portfolio that I will be reporting on as and when. Just a few things happening. I had a couple of ceilings come down yesterday in a property, which was like a little bit concerning. So say hi. You've got to say hello. You've got to tell me where you're watching from. I'll give you a shout out straight in today. What's going on in the world of property? So we've got morning Cameron. Good morning. Get Sturdy. DM. Good morning Sean. Good morning. Tell me where you're watching from, please, folks. Damien's with us today. Oh no, your house. Don't know what that means. Hi Cameron from. It's gone already. What is your rental company called? Got lots of them. John, good morning from Dubai. Irish, good morning from Ireland. Jersey from Jersey. Good morning to Steve and Guildford in Surrey. Good morning. Hi, watching from Worcester. Nice. It's a nice sunny day today in Worcester. Right, who else have we got on today? The DJer. Good morning. Nath, good morning. Doesn't say where you're watching from. Jennifer from Norfolk. Nath in Hull. Stuart, you were correct about interest rates going up. Absolutely, 0.25%. You know, it is what it is. Helen, good morning from Bucks. Julie, good morning. Nice to see you. Been a while from Bedfordshire. The DJ is here from Portsmouth. Carl Tucker from Essex. Josh, watching from Blackpool. We've got David, good morning. Doesn't say where you're watching from. Linda from Northampton. Carl, Matt from the West Midlands. We've got Brendan from Lowestoft. We've got Carl from Widnes. We've got Ryan from Lancashire. And we've got Stuart in the house from St. Evenage. Thank you very much. Judy, watching on LinkedIn today. Thank you, Julie. Judy. Right. What happened this week that didn't happen? Or what didn't happen last week that should have happened? So there was a bit of confusion about the government how to rent guide that was supposed to have been released last Friday, and the government messed it up and it didn't go out and everyone was waiting for it and then they couldn't find it. So the new how to rent guide is scheduled to be released today. So it's a week old, but it is supposed to be coming out today. And that's going to be from the Department of Levelling Up and Housing Communities. Now, trade bodies were originally told earlier this month that the new guide would be released a week ago, but the DLUHC made it known that there was going to be a shift to the 24th of March, which of course is today. Now, the NRLA said that private landlords must serve the latest version of the guide at the start of every new tenancy and on renewal if there has been an update on the contents of the guide. Now, it forms part of the prescribed information that landlords must issue, and if they do, they lose the right to repossess. If they don't do it, they lose the right to repossess using Section 21. You can do it retrospectively now, though. So when the deregulation came out, the Deregulation Act 2018, 15, whenever it was, there was part of the Deregulation Act, right? Let me just press the pause button there. It came out and stipulated that every new tenancy needed a gas safety certificate, an EPC, and the government how to rent document. If you didn't give it to them upon the signing of a new tenancy, you couldn't evict them under Section 21. And at that time, you couldn't do it retrospectively. But now you can, because there was a test case, can't remember the test case, but now you can do it retrospectively. So as long as you've served all of the prescribed information prior to you serving Section 21, you can now do it. So back to the report. In addition, it also contains information on fitting smart meters, and there is a section in the guide on ensuring that the property is suitable if you have an archive of all previous editions of the how to rent guidelines. You need to get over to the NRLA website and make sure that you are now compliant. So what are we doing? So personally, what we're doing is now the document is available, or will be today. We're going to download it as a PDF. We're going to upload it into my system, which is called GoTenant. So I own a company called GoTenant, folks. If you're looking for property management software, check it out. Get it free for 28 days. We're going to send it out to every single tenant, which means that all of our tenants, past, present, are all going to be compliant. And we've got a date stamp and we've got an IP address to prove that we've sent it out. Then, of course, all new tenants from that point will be given the new document as well. So there you go. There you have it. I said did I say 2015, Julie? I think I did. I think I got that right. I might have started with 2018. I think 2018 might have been the FCA PS 13.3. I know. I'm a geek. I get it. I do. Right, what else is going on today? House price future. Well, apparently, according to the latest report, it doesn't look brilliant. So many indices have suggested that house prices have already dipped, at least slightly. But forward-looking indication doesn't look brilliant either, according to this report. Now, data released by the ONS yesterday, but referring back to January, show that the average house price in the UK increased by 6.3% annually. Now, that is slowing sharply from a whopping 9.3% annual increase in December. Now, the average house price was 290,000 on the money in January, and that's 17,000 higher than the previous January. Now, Sarah Coles, who's the head of personal finance at business consultancy Hargreaves Lansdown, said that worse may be to come. Now, January was a miserable month for property. 3 months on from the peak of mortgage rates in October, the horror of higher mortgage fed through into the falling prices. Now, we cannot expect more weakness from here as price continues to fall, but the jury is still out on how things will roll out in the future. Now, affordability calculations reveal just why rising rates have taken such a toll on buyer confidence, with the average full-time employee in England spending 8.3 times their annual income in order to buy a typical home. That's a lot, isn't it? 8.3 times. That's massive. Now, they're saying that they're being forced to take on ever larger mortgages, and it means a small change in mortgage rates has a far larger impact on our monthly payments. Now, she continues to say that most of the forward-looking indications don't look too brilliant. The Bank of England said that in January, the number of mortgages approved for purchases in coming months fell for the 5th month in a row, and excluding the onset of the pandemic, when the market was effectively closed, it's the lowest level of approvals since 2009. What are your thoughts on that? Got a few more people saying hi. Good morning, Danny from Liverpool. Good morning, Owen from Ashby. Shakil, my mum had been living in a house owned by the Housing Association for almost 20 years. Can we actually buy the property and will we get a discount? You'll have to contact your council. They will give you all of the relevant information on that. I'm not qualified or regulated to do it. Good day from Australia. Marilise, good morning from Cambridge. And we've got Jessica watching from Wyoming. Give yourself a shout out if you are not in the UK. I want to see how many international visitors we've got today. All right. Give yourselves a shout out if you're not in the UK. All right. Let's see how many people are here. All right. What's going on then? What else is going on today? How to rent. We've done that. We've done the house prices. Now, apparently, there will be, or there is going to be, the new mandatory ombudsman for landlords. Now, the government has taken its first step into introducing a mandatory ombudsman scheme, which private landlords must join. Now, if you're not familiar with this, we've got the property ombudsman and we've got the property redress scheme. Now, as private landlords that own their own property and they manage it themselves, or they give it, to a family member or a staff member, there is no legal obligation as a private landlord for you to be registered with any of the above schemes. Now, we do anyway because it's professional. And, we can say that we're part of the scheme, but there is no legal obligation. And that's what the government are now trying to put forwards. So they're saying that the government has taken its first step into introducing the mandatory ombudsman scheme for private landlords. Now, it's published what it calls a pre-tender market engagement request, seeking information on preparation for finding a supplier who would manage the scheme. Now, the government's description of the scheme, formerly called the Private Rented Sector Landlord Ombudsman Scheme, outlines its proposal and says the Ombudsman Scheme will be mandatory for all private landlords in England. It will provide redress and dispute resolution to all private rental sector tenants by an independent person in accordance with the terms of the arrangements with the Department for Levelling Up Housing and Communities. Now, it says that the pre-tender market engagement is to gather information to help define the service specification for the Ombudsman, help provide a better understanding of the requirement, understand the best approach to introduce and implement, understand the capacity of the market to deliver, inform value for money considerations, provide the market with an opportunity to ask questions, and inform on the decisions. So let's see what happens. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a good thing. It can only be a good thing, right? Because the more we have to do, the better then we become. What do you do if your landlord cuts off your water? Well, you're in Moscow. I think the laws might be a little bit different in Moscow. So I can't help you with Moscow tenancy laws. But if your landlord cuts off the water in England, you get straight onto the council and you report them immediately, right? Because they can't do that. Even if you're going through an eviction, they can't do it. Okay. Right. We've got Catherine from Pennsylvania. We've got Andrew from Australia. Where's everybody else then? So we had a couple of people from Ohio and what have you earlier on. Catherine, Pennsylvania, and who else? Who else is not watching from the UK? I don't know. Okay, what else is up there then today? Last one today, and then we're back here, of course, next week. Apparently, according to another report this morning given to us by propertyinvestortoday.co.uk, the large source of my information, folks, so do check their websites out. 1 in 10 landlords are planning to exit the sector following the absence of any government help in the budget. 1 in 10. It's not that bad. I don't think it's a mass exodus, do you? 1 in 10. Now, that's the claim of Benham and Reeves. Now, a survey of landlords commissioned by the agency after last week's budget found that 49% were disappointed that whisperings of a potential reintroduction of mortgage relief was unfounded. Now, it was hoped that the government would throw the buy-to-let sector a bone following a string of legislative changes that have caused many to exit the sector, and 71% of those surveyed by Benham and Reeves stated that they would have also liked to have seen some other form of incentive. Well, of course, wouldn't we all? Some 12% of landlords also revealed that they had planned to increase the size of their portfolio, but now will refrain. Well, go into an incorporation. Look, folks, you know, the clause 24 or section 24, whatever you want to call it, it's not new. It's been around now. It started to be introduced, 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it was tapered and it was brought in. Just incorporate. If you're worried about paying more tax as a private landlord, put it in a limited company, pay 19% on your profit and take your dividends. Don't moan about it. Those that moan about stuff when things happen, when things change in industry and we have a shift, those that don't adapt won't survive. It really is as simple as that. You've got to adapt, otherwise you'll get swallowed up. Don't get swallowed up. The property market is great. It will continue to be great. We're helping people that can't afford, their own properties to buy. Everything is good about it. Just incorporate. You're going to pay an accountant to help you do it, then pay an accountant. Director of Benham and Reeves, Mark von Grunder, commented, the government has been waging war on buy-to-let investors for quite some time. That I agree with. Now, and many with the sector were hoping that the spring statement would finally see them throw them a sugar lump rather than shown the stick. Unfortunately, this failed to materialize. But whilst disappointing, the majority of landlords do remain unfazed. I don't know. Stuart saying, imagine a backlash is mortgage relief. Well, backlash of what? Because of people pushing back against the government, you mean? And they wouldn't do it retrospectively. I tell you what I would prefer here, the Section 24, I've got properties in my own name, right? Of course, I've been buying properties for like 20 odd years, but I'm not moaning about it. Yes, I've got to pay more tax. Are they viable now? Some of them probably aren't. But we'll keep hold of them for the time being. Am I going to move them into a limited company structure? No, because it'll cost me more to do that, or probably about the same. The benefit wouldn't be that different. What I'd rather them do is get rid of the single banding for HMOs. Now, that is important because that just pushes the rents up. Everything the government do pushes the rents up, but single banding for Band A for HMO rooms, they've got to stop it. That's ridiculous. To me, that's a tick the box, because every time the VOA get another banding, it's another one off their list for the 230,000 deficit of houses that the government have not provided so far. And they're getting paid for it at the same time. It's not a house, you know, it might be a unit of accommodation, but if it's not a purpose-built unit, and if you don't have to leave, you know, if it's not completely self-contained, i.e. it's just a HMO room, then they should not be singly banded. And I think we are going to see a change coming soon, hopefully this year, on that particular subject. And that would help more people. Why? It's going to help the landlords, because they don't have to charge it back to the tenant or pay it themselves. And ultimately, it's going to help the tenant because they won't have to pay council tax on a room rather than living in a full house. Yeah? That's what I think. So, Stuart, what do you mean about the backlash? Do you mean the backlash against people pushing against the government? They won't do it, do they? I mean, they'll change, but they'll hardly ever go back. Very rarely, anyway. So, how do you manage fire safety in your HMOs? Fire regs cost effective, or do they seriously affect you? Well, fire regs is more important than anything else, right? It's over and above everything. It's over and above any profit you make. It's over and above, you know, the business, because fire, it kills people, right? You've got to be a compliant landlord if you're going to go into the business. Now, fire regs are very easily I mean, you can go onto the internet. You can search for a document called LACORS, LACORS. It's probably quite an old document now, but that is the document that generally forms most of the fire safety regulations on private rented houses across the UK. So most of my properties are licensed, not all of them, but most of them, which means that we have got a very intricate and stringent fire protection policy that we have to adhere to. And even if we don't have a licensed property, we will still make sure that those properties are of those standards. How much does it cost? Depends on the size of the house, but you can't put a price on safety. I hope that answers that question, right? You can't put a price on safety. So when a lot of people come to me and say, I'm going to go into HMOs, it's less than 5 people, we don't have additional licensing, so therefore I don't need a license, and therefore I don't need to be fire compliant. Yes, you do, 100%. Just because it doesn't need a license doesn't mean you don't have to be fire compliant. You know, safety first, folks, always. Absolutely. Did I get sorted in Warrington, Mike? Do you mean with the fire alarm activation? Is that what you mean? Didn't hear back from them, bizarrely. Didn't hear back, not a thing. No one contacted me. No explanation, no apology, no nothing. What would you do with 50% loan to value? Would you take it out and buy another one? You know, again, it's horses for courses. It really depends on, if I've got 50% loan to value on a property now, I'm looking to retire in, 10 years, then I'm going to be paying down rather than trying to re-leverage. But if you're looking to get out there and start your business and you're at the beginnings of your business, all right, 4.25% now. I haven't seen any of the new fixed rates yet. I mean, normally they go quiet. Products will probably start to get pulled today and then relaunched Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, whilst all of the lenders and mortgage providers start to look at their books and see how much money they've got that they can lend and how much they've bought it in at. And most of the really good lenders, if they bought money in at good rates, should still be letting it out at the good rates. That's what should happen. Morgan, I completely agree. I work in fire and security, and that's a very good outlook. Yeah, absolutely, Morgan. You know, fire does not differentiate on a property whether it's licensed or not. So you've got to be fire compliant. And then we can sleep safely at night, and our tenants can sleep safely at night. And we know that if anything happens, God forbid, we've done as much as we possibly can to try and mitigate it. There we go. Is there a regulation on the gaps between stair spindles? Oh, come on. I don't know. Probably. Yes. Building regs will cover that. I don't know which part of the building regs it is. Check it out. Google it. It's probably the best way to answer that question. Thank you very much. You sound like a fantastic landlord. Thank you very much indeed. Do I have houses in Stockport? I don't. Sorry. Rents cost more than most mortgages. It's not beneficial to most people. Okay. Rents cost more than most mortgages. Yes, they do. And how is it beneficial? Well, the way that I do stuff, so if you look at my portfolio, I'm not taking up stock that you could buy yourself. So as a private renter, I mean, the last building I bought was £750,000. The building I bought prior to that was 600. The one I bought prior to that was 1.1 million. So what I'm doing is we're buying big buildings and creating opportunity by putting flats inside of those buildings. So I'm not gobbling up the housing stock. I've got very few actual houses. Most of our stock is big buildings that we will go in, will create more opportunities. So what we're doing is we're opening opportunity for people to rent those flats that can't afford to buy their own houses. So I do get both sides of the argument, but there are only 2.4 million private landlords across the whole of the country. Now, they're not singly responsible for people not being able to buy houses, you know, compared to the population. So it's disparative. It doesn't work like that. Albeit, you know, I know some of the big portfolio landlords, if they're targeting on one area, then that can make it harder. But I get both sides of the story, I really do. But our portfolio, mine, my business, is made up generally of single units of accommodation, which are big properties that you wouldn't have as houses anyway. Does that answer your question, Elliot? I hope it does. I hope it gives you a bit more clarity as to what we do and how we do it. There we go. Thanks, Johnny. 100 mil. There you go. 100 mil maximum gap for a spindle. Let's have a look. There we go. Oh, Maralise has put it as well. There you go. Look, it's everywhere. Thank you, Maralise. 100 mil. I've learned something today there as well. It's not something that I would particularly concentrate much time on, hoping that my building inspector will give my builders those tips. Right. Stuart, yes. Imagine the backlash. I get it. I understand what you mean. Right. Any more questions then before we go today? You're welcome. Thank you very much. Done that one. Yeah, so Mike, did I get sorted in Warrington? No, they say. So if anyone's seen that video, Ben, my son, and I, and the whole family went and stayed at a hotel in Warrington because of my sister's wedding, and it was lovely. And, you know, everything was nice. But when we got there, we had to complete a risk assessment because Ben's in a wheelchair, of course. And that risk assessment dictated that if there was a fire or an activation, they would come up to us because they put us on the second floor. We didn't have a choice. We couldn't say, no, we're not going, because my whole family was staying there. It wasn't one of those things that we could have said, no, we're not, we're going to go somewhere else. It wouldn't have happened. So we had to go there. And they said that if there was a fire activation, they would come and get us with an evac chair. So an evac chair is designed to put somebody in it and then roll them down the stairs in the event of an evacuation. And bizarrely, there was an activation, and it went on for 15 minutes. Nobody came for us. So I had to go downstairs eventually and speak to reception and said, what is going on? No one's come for us. And she said, well, someone's coming for you. I said, they're not. We've been upstairs 15 minutes. Nobody is coming. She said, well, it's okay because it's a false activation, so go back to your room. And that was it. So if there was a fire, we would have been stuck because we couldn't use the lift because it deactivates in the event of a fire. The alarm system stops the lift. So the lift was there with the doors open, so we couldn't use the lift, and we wouldn't have done anyway. And we couldn't get out. So yeah, it could have been a lot worse. So what did they do? I made a complaint to them, and obviously we did. I actually captured it on video because at the time I was wearing these little video glasses. So I got it all on video, posted it on social media, and the local fire authority said they were going to investigate it, and they messaged me to say so. But the hotel themselves didn't do a thing. So yeah, they didn't do anything. They didn't contact me. They didn't apologize. Quite sad, really. If you let out to a family, are the regulations the same? The regulations the same as what? As HMOs? No. So if you let out to a family, you're still going to be within HHSRS and the Housing Act, but the regulations in terms of fire safety aren't the same. No, they're a lot more lax, I should say. And that's because the HMOs or shared houses are deemed to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not risky, more susceptible to fire because of the amount of people that's in them. So no, it's not quite the same. It's a little bit different. Right, let's have a look. Yeah. Your builders will know. Yeah, you'd hope they would, wouldn't you? All right, cool. That's it. We're done for today. A little bit of an extended one today. As always, thank you for the contributions and the follows. Please do try and share this video out there so more people can benefit. And I'll be back on Tuesday, because I don't do Mondays, with a little bit more of the same. So whatever you're doing this weekend, have an absolutely great day. And I'll speak to you Tuesday. See you later. Take care.